Was John D. Rockefeller's land grab a gift to the world? This is a remarkable true story about a gift of immeasurable proportions. The story behind John D. Rockefeller Jr.'s gift is a fascinating one that shows remarkable foresight. To this day, the lovers of natural, pristine beauty are most grateful to this philanthropist. The year was 1926 when John D. Rockefeller Jr. took a trip to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Together with Horace Albright, superintendent of Yellowstone National Park, they visited the enormous valley contiguous to the Grand Teton mountain range. Albright expressed his grave concerns about this pristine valley ending up a ramshackle commercial area with tacky motels and other eyesores, thereby losing forever the beauty and tranquility of the land overlooked by the grandeur of the spectacular Grand Teton mountain range. So they put their minds together and had meetings with 5 local businessmen. That's when Rockefeller and Albright and their team hatched a plan to surreptitiously acquire thousands of acres of the breathtaking land around Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Local agents were hired so as not to tip off the sellers that the buyer was a Rockefeller, which would have, of course, made prices skyrocket. Their goal, to assemble a large parcel of land contiguous to the Grand Tetons and then gift this entire area to the federal government for a national park. Here's a picture of John D. He is second from the right in the back row, and on the left-hand side in the back row, second from the left, is Albright. August 2022 marks the 50th anniversary of the dedication of the John D. Rockefeller Jr. Memorial Parkway, connecting Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Parks. In recognition of this philanthropist's gift of pristine lands in Wyoming to the federal government, please see this letter from President Roosevelt thanking him. And here's a commemorative poster also having to do with the Rockefeller Parkway. Oh goodness, I just love this story because it was such an amazing gift to the world that they were able to assemble all that land and preserve it for generations and generations to come. Okay, so I can tell you from my own personal experience, having spent many summers in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, that Grand Teton National Park is one absolutely amazing place. I don't even know where to begin. I love it there. It's just breathtaking. It's breathtaking, and it takes your breath away. As you can see by this picture, what's amazing is that these mountains just rise up right out of the floor of the valley below. There are no foothills or nothing. It just goes right straight up. Absolutely spectacular. But what is so special about Grand Teton National Park? Well, from my own personal experience, and here I am in front of the Grand Teton sign, this park of 310,000 acres of luscious valleys, flowering mountain meadows, alpine lakes, along with a backdrop being the tall and dramatic mountains, it is the perfect destination for nature lovers as well as adventure seekers. Many people have climbed that peak of the Grand Teton. That would be quite something. Every summer, we always hear about people making their way up the side of that enormous, well, cliff, I guess you'd call it. There is so much to do in this national park. One of my favorite activities is bike riding, the miles and miles of bike trails. Biking while passing some of the most gorgeous scenery in the world fills up one's senses to the max. Our favorite ride begins at the entrance to Grand Teton National Park on the south entrance and ends up at Jenny Lake. Another thing that we look forward to is animal sightings. Yes, animal sightings. The biggest thrill is spotting a moose. But there are other animals as well, such as elk, pronghorn, and occasional bear, which can be scary but exciting. Important to keep one's distance, very important, when encountering bears. Especially if they have little babies with them, then they can be ferocious. Another interesting animal that I mentioned before is the pronghorn. Did you know the pronghorn is the fastest mammal capable of running over 50 miles per hour? The fastest mammal in the Western Hemisphere, reportedly. Okay, then we go on to, they're all my favorite spots. I know I keep saying that, but Jenny Lake is another favorite spot. This is a absolutely gorgeous, pristine, I'm getting tongue-tied, glacial lake, which is a popular destination in Grand Teton National Park. Rent a kayak or a canoe and explore the lake. What a wonderful way to spend a day at Grand Teton National Park. Our family enjoys canoe trips and kayaking on Jenny Lake. We also like to bring along a picnic and stop at some spot along the lake where nobody else is, you can't even see another single soul, and have ourselves a lovely picnic, or sometimes even dinner, a picnic dinner. You will be blown away by the gorgeous deep blue color of this lake. After your trip on Jenny Lake, you should make sure to take a visit up to Jenny Lake Lodge for either lunch or dinner. It is absolutely charming. I think that it's also only like 12 minutes away from Jenny Lake. And it's have lunch or dinner there. It's a very special spot in Teton National Park. And one thing I forgot to mention is that should you want to take a hike around Jenny Lake, there are so many places to see on a hike, which takes it takes under 3 hours. But if you don't want to hike for that long, you can take a scenic boat ride from the boat landing over to the opposite side of the lake, a 12-minute ride, which would cut your hiking time around the lake to half, and stop along the way to see exquisite scenery, such as Inspiration Point and Hidden Falls. If you prefer a more formal experience in Grand Teton National Park, there are eco tours available. During these expeditions, experienced naturalist guides will take you off the beaten path for maximum viewing of wildlife hotspots. Another available activity is designed for photographers, of which I am one. There are workshops conducted in the park for all of you, whether you're professional or amateurs. So all you shutterbugs, bring your cameras along and have a never-ending scenes of panoramic beauty. And I guarantee you there are a never-ending choices to photograph the natural beauty right before your eyes in Grand Teton National Park. The Chapel of the Transfiguration is another spot that is popular. Actually, it's called the Chapel of the Transfiguration. But what makes it so special is the large window located behind the altar, which provides the perfect frame for the Grand Teton mountain range. I mean, it's a picture like you just wouldn't believe looking through that window. It's like a postcard. It's gorgeous. The church was built in 1920 for, and church services are still held here May through September. And as you can well imagine, it's a very popular spot for weddings. Here you have the Lawrence Rockefeller Preserve. This was given by John D. Rockefeller Jr.'s son, Lawrence. It's a tribute to his father's legacy of conservation. He donated his own land, a 1,106-acre parcel of land, to forever be protected. From the beginning, Lawrence Rockefeller envisioned this preserve as a place where visitors could experience the same spiritual and emotional connection that he himself remembered from his earliest visits to the Tetons. And here you have Mormon Row, which is another very interesting spot with old buildings. With this iconic barn with the Tetons in the background, is a very, very popular stop when viewing all the beauty around Jackson Hole. So, in conclusion, future generations have the Rockefellers and Albright to thank for their insight all those years ago to preserve the land around Jackson Hole. Today, the land remains among the most beautiful and pristine on planet Earth. And yes, Rockefeller's generosity was definitely, most definitely, a gift to the world.